Michael Malekzadeh was in trouble. He owed a lot of money to a lot of people and needed money. To get some quick cash, Malekzadeh sold some of his most valuable possessions. Reportedly, he sold 80 luxury watches and 100 handbags. Along with other funds liquidated through cashier's checks, the grand total came out to just $6 million, and that was only a fraction of what Malekzadeh owed to his creditors, or victims to be more accurate. How did Malekzadeh trick so many people into giving him millions? And what other insane possessions did he buy with their money? Malekzadeh's business actually began years before he got in trouble, in 2013, and the business was legit too. According to the Justice Department, his company was called Zadeh Kicks LLC and based in Eugene, Oregon, Malekzadeh's hometown. Malekzadeh had just been fired from a Nike store in Portland after starting there in 2012. What was he fired for? Buying shoes with his employee discount, then selling them at retail price for a sizable profit. Malekzadeh realized he could buy and sell shoes like this on a mass scale and make a lot of money in the process. Before, he had been a University of Oregon graduate, then a student shoe designer at the Art Institute of Portland. He'd always known he loved shoes. Now he could turn that love into a business. A real business. Zadeh Kicks could be his ticket into the industry and hopefully a wealthy life. Malekzadeh's strategy was similar to the illicit one he used at his old job at the Nike store. Resell limited edition sneakers online, mainly Air Jordans, and earn high profit margins. This is how it worked. Malekzadeh would purchase the collectible footwear in bulk from manufacturing and retail insiders, then resell them to online sellers over the internet. He was, in a way, a shoe plug for other shoe sellers. Believe it or not, this is one of the most lucrative retail subsectors in the industry. Ever since the creation of online retailers such as eBay, the internet has become a massive hotbed for collectibles, and Air Jordans are one of the most sought after items out there. If you search Air Jordans for sale in Google, you'll get roughly 25 million results. If you put Air Jordans into eBay, you get over 500,000 results. Shoe manufacturers like Nike and Adidas release limited edition sneakers not for people to wear on basketball courts, but to put on shelves in their closet. They're seen as status symbols to other sneakerheads and those a part of the hip-hop and basketball culture. Of course, some people do wear them, but they're bought and sold as collector's items for so-called sneakerheads. Sneakerheads will do whatever they can to get the latest releases, especially the latest Air Jordans. Websites such as StockX, GOAT, Flight Club, and Kicks Crew sell these high-value sneakers online. Malekzadeh wanted to be just like them, and he got pretty close, on paper at least. His business was popular among some sneakerheads, but it wasn't on the same level. He and his fiancée and chief finance officer, Bethany Mockerman, were coming up with a plan to change that, and it was the worst plan ever. Just like any other collectible industry, sneaker collectors like to get their hands or feet on the product as soon as possible. It's the same desire that created the Black Friday stampedes and the Harry Potter bookstore rushes. It's a strong desire. Malekzadeh knew this fact about his customers, so he decided to offer soon-to-be-released Air Jordan 11 Cool Gray sneakers for pre-order on the Zadeh Kicks website in 2020, his 7th year in business. At the time, Zadeh Kicks was looking good. They currently had 6,000 Air Jordan 11s in stock, the same edition Malekzadeh would put up for pre-order. 6,000 seemed like enough, but the move was still risky, and Malekzadeh never set an order cap, meaning, as far as his website was concerned, he couldn't run out of stock. Customers could keep buying and buying, regardless of whether or not he actually had the shoes. And according to the evidence, Malekzadeh's client base was made up of other, much smaller sellers. These other sellers bought these shoes in bulk from Malekzadeh, then sold them online for massive profits. It was a complicated yet delicate ecosystem, fully dependent on the shoes moving from one seller to another. That year, Malekzadeh would derail a big chunk of the system, like COVID did, but with a financial virus called default. Zadeh Kicks received 600,000 pre-orders for the new Air Jordan 11s. As mentioned earlier, Malekzadeh only had 6,000 in his inventory. The sales from the 6,000 Air Jordan 11s was supposed to total around $900,000. Instead, Malekzadeh pulled in $70 million. This may seem like a freak accident. However, when looking at the details, investigators found some circumstantial evidence that might indicate Malekzadeh planned the entire thing. Malekzadeh, being a longtime seller, knew that the Air Jordan 11s had a retail price of $225 per pair. Collectors would of course be willing to pay that price, but other sellers would not, seeing as they'd lose money paying retail price for the shoes, then trying to sell them at used prices. These sellers, along with several collectors, bought Malekzadeh's non-existent Air Jordan 11s. If Malekzadeh had any regrets or change of heart, it was too late. Even though he had $70 million in his account, the ambitious entrepreneur would lose millions trying to fulfill the orders. Millions he wasn't willing to spend, at least not on customers. There were so many orders that Malekzadeh would have had to buy hundreds of thousands of shoes at retail price, which was over $65 more than the pre-order price. The pre-order price ranged from $115 all the way up to $200 per pair. Malekzadeh didn't waste much time spending his newfound wealth. The shoe seller bought millions of dollars worth of fancy things, a fleet of luxury sports cars, dozens of watches, purses, and even a Louis Vuitton bicycle. His vehicle collection included multiple Ferraris, Bentleys, Porsches, Lambos, Mercedes-Benz, and of course, the bike. Now, you're probably still wondering about the Louis Vuitton bicycle. Yes, you heard that correctly. A Louis Vuitton bicycle does indeed exist. It's made by Louis Vuitton and a French bicycle manufacturer founded in 1912 called Tamboit. The bike Malekzadeh bought retails at around $29,000. He and Mockerman spent even more of their funds on fancy furs, designer handbags, and dozens of luxury watches. The young couple shared their luxurious possessions on Instagram. Malekzadeh, for example, posted his over $100,000 Girard Perregaux watch next to a cheeseburger, and several shots of him riding over the floors of he and Mockerman's million-dollar mansion in Oregon. The home's down payment was paid with the proceeds from their pre-order. They also used the same funds to splurge on a $600,000 renovation to make their million-dollar mansion even more extravagant. Like many other scams, however, the lavish spending was only an air pump filling up a proverbial bubble seconds away from bursting. Even the beginning of Zadeh Kicks was shady. To help the young shoe-crazy Malekzadeh get his reselling business started, his father loaned him $20,000. But $20,000 wasn't enough capital for Malekzadeh. In 2013, he and Mockerman, who had just started dating, filed 15 loan applications to various banks. The loans altogether added up to $20 million. And if you're wondering how a young couple managed to legally obtain $20 million in loans, well, they didn't. Malekzadeh and Mockerman used falsified documents in their loan applications. So, the $20 million shouldn't have been theirs, yet they spent like it was. And ironically, they spent it well in the beginning. As mentioned earlier, Malekzadeh was renowned for his ability to find shoes before any other sellers could. For this reason, he was able to hook in small-time sellers selling on eBay and other online resale sites. They wanted someone with insider connections within the collectible sneakers marketplace, and Malekzadeh provided those connections. One of Malekzadeh's former peers, the chief executive of Secret Sauce, Michael Schneider, remembers Malekzadeh. He describes Malekzadeh as the end-all be-all backdoor plug, and that was his image within the sneakerhead community. One such member of the community was the young Arnav Kamra, who started selling sneakers in 2020 when he was just 15. Today, Kamra is a finance major at Indiana University, so it's no wonder he was fascinated with the numbers-driven aspect of the sneaker resale market. Kamra was also driven by isolation. Thanks to the sudden onset of COVID-19, Kamra was forced to do his school at home, leaving him with lots of free time. He decided to spend this extra time selling sneakers over the internet. With some startup capital from mom and dad, Kamra founded his store. While looking for suppliers, Kamra stumbled upon Zadeh Kicks and couldn't believe what he was seeing. He recalls how at the time, Zadeh Kicks was selling pairs of Travis Scott edition Air Jordan 1s for only $590. Meanwhile, the luxury high tops were demanding a staggering $2,000 on the sneaker resale market. Kamra couldn't believe it. The potential ROI on the Air Jordan 1s was simply insane. So insane that he bought $18,000 worth of them in incremental orders. Another small-time seller, Minat Azad, like Schneider, believed Malekzadeh was the backdoor sneaker king. Azad pre-ordered 100 Air Jordan 11s in 2020, but he only received 50 of them. But because of the ridiculously low pre-order price set by Malekzadeh, Azad still made a $5,000 profit. Azad wasn't upset at all. In fact, he was so happy about the profit, he purchased 400 more pairs of Air Jordan 11s for a grand total of $100,000. Azad says he waited for the shoes to come in, or at least half of them, like last time. He waited and waited, but they never came. Azad wasn't the only customer to experience this form of commercial ghosting. Many of Malekzadeh's other reselling customers bore the same treatment, while others got something even worse: store credits. Store credits for a store with no inventory. Malekzadeh also offered his customers gift cards to Zadeh Kicks. And to make things worse, Malekzadeh gave his customers no choice. The old refund policy from 2018, which stated that they could cancel before 10 months with zero financial penalties, was thrown out in favor of a zero refund policy. Unless you were willing to take store credit from a store who had completely failed to fulfill your order, then you were screwed. The customers who did end up canceling had to fork out a 50% cancellation fee. The old fee was only 20%. This was Malekzadeh's way of covering up his scam, and it wasn't working. At one point, a customer named Damian Ortiz shared his complaint on Zadeh Kicks' Instagram comment section. Malekzadeh didn't immediately respond to the comment. Instead, he sent Ortiz an email that had an almost Godfather-esque tone. Malekzadeh wrote, quote, "We want to give you a one-time courtesy, which we normally do not, that typically we block those who do not follow our listed policies." Ortiz had initially been complaining about $14,000 worth of unfulfilled orders. The email indicated he wouldn't be getting his money back, and that somehow he was lucky to still have contact with Zadeh Kicks. Fortunately for Ortiz, past profits with Zadeh Kicks allowed him to escape the upcoming crash unscathed, but many others wouldn't be so lucky. The unlucky customers eventually realized they wouldn't be getting their money back. According to the affidavit filed against Malekzadeh, Zadeh Kicks had roughly 23,000 customers. For several thousand of those customers, it wasn't worth suing Malekzadeh, but a select few thousand found themselves in a very big hole. One customer was owed $15 million. With so much money on the line, Malekzadeh's former customers were furious. They began sending Malekzadeh and Mockerman threats, some so violent that the couple feared for their safety. Inevitably, Malekzadeh and Mockerman hired a lawyer who advised them on how to navigate the treacherous minefield they'd created 2 years earlier. One of the first things they had to do was shut down the chaotic cesspool that was Zadeh Kicks. The aforementioned Arnav Kamra remembers that day more than anyone else. It was only 2 days before his 18th birthday when he received an email from Zadeh Kicks announcing they were closing down and dissolving the entire operation. Authorities seized Malekzadeh's assets, including his luxury items and any remaining inventory. To help sift through all the shoes Malekzadeh and Mockerman had stockpiled in their company warehouse, investigators called in Nike. Nike had representatives analyze the sneakers, most of which were Nikes. They found only 8,500 Adidas shoes and 48,000 Nikes, as well as 1,100 sneakers in Malekzadeh's private stash. So far, Nike has declined to comment on the investigation to Wall Street Journal. Naturally, they have an interest in clearing this disaster up. Many sneaker world outsiders are also wondering how hundreds of thousands of Nike shoes are being acquired by sellers like Malekzadeh, all before retailers can even open a delivery box. People also wondered how this would affect the shoe resale market. With so many small and medium-sized businesses, many run by only 1 or 2 individuals, their chances of surviving financially seem slim. The businesses who got hit the hardest asked investigators and Nike to hand over the sneakers in the warehouse, arguing that they were owed whatever was left. Of course, there weren't enough shoes or money left over to pay back all of Malekzadeh's victims. The victims who got the short end of the stick weren't through with Malekzadeh, especially American Express. American Express is currently suing Malekzadeh and Mockerman for unpaid credit card debt. The debt is around $2 million, and they're also seeking $3,000 in damages. With all the money Malekzadeh made, it seems bizarre that he failed to pay a $2 million debt. But since Malekzadeh spent a good chunk of it on expensive things he didn't need, as well as more shoes, he was quite cash poor. At the beginning of this video, we described Malekzadeh selling off his assets for cash. That was a direct result of his spending. The feds managed to extract around $6 million from his accounts to pay off swindled shoe customers, but didn't have anything for American Express. While the American Express lawsuit is a major problem in Malekzadeh's life, it's only a small morsel on his already loaded plate. If Malekzadeh is found guilty of all the charges against him, he could face face 30 years in prison. Prosecutors are charging him for multiple counts of fraud from the pre-order scam and bank fraud for the loans they obtained with falsified documents. Prosecutors summarize what Malekzadeh did as sort of a Ponzi scheme. He borrowed money illicitly and then used it to buy shoes he'd sell but never actually ship to his customers, all to fund a lavish lifestyle. As of this video's publishing, the FBI is still searching for victims of Zadeh Kicks. Click to watch one of these next videos, and let us know in the comments section, what's your opinion of resellers of any given collectible? Are they helpful or hurtful to the end consumer overall?